Episode 124 of the Late Night Vision Show. It is another week, and we have another scope review for you. Very excited to be back again this Thursday, bringing you the latest and greatest in night vision and thermal optics. Hog hunting, predator hunting, coyote hunting, all that in one bag, and so much more. But before we get into all that, Mr. Jason Robertson, owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, night vision and thermal expert, and resident hog assassin from fresh off this week's Hog Kills It. I want to hear all about, because I hadn't heard the full story. And anytime you kill a hog, I know the audience wants to hear about it, because I'm not saying it doesn't happen that often, because I know you kill lots of hogs, but you've been really busy lately. So tell us the whole story.
I'm going to tell you something. That is the fanciest intro I think we've ever had to this show. That was very official. You didn't stumble. I don't even know where you got all that. And man, you now make it sound like I kill a hog and it's a national holiday.
Well, I did stick in a jab. You do kill quite a few hogs, and you've been having a ton of hogs on your place here, gosh, the last several months. But I also know you were out of the state for 2 weeks. You've battling keeping all the farm going, and it seems like every Monday night when we have a podcast to tape, you've got hogs out in your field.
Well,
so
it's Monday night.
Struggle.
Guess what was out in my pasture before I left my house when I scanned across there? About 12 hogs. And
I was gonna say 2 clowns in a Dumbo car. I don't know.
No, about 12 hogs. And I was kind of surprised because last night I did put the hurting on them. I killed 4. Well, confirmed. I got 3, and I dropped the last one, and he got up and ran off underneath the fence, and he didn't run into any of that lead that I was slinging at him as he was in the woods over there at about 300 yards. So I don't think he lived to tell about it though.
Yeah, you called me, and I could tell you were all out of breath and hot and bothered. I could tell you had just got done shooting some hogs. Just even when I answered the phone, I knew.
Yeah, I always call you when I'm still in the field and I'm walking back to the house to go get the Ranger or something. So I'm normally huffing and puffing, but yeah, I did. I dropped 3 with the Thermion XG50. And it did a good job. And I will tell you that anybody who's talked to me much or listened to me much knows that I really, really like close range shooting, and I don't like shooting hogs a long ways off. And I've never claimed to be a great shot at running hogs. But anybody who's listened to this show knows I also have my suppressor method of shoot, stop, shoot, stop, shoot, stop. It worked like an absolute champion last night. No other way that I would have got 3 and then winged that other one. It was worked great, but yeah, it was good.
I try that. Yeah, I try that, from time to time, the shoot and then pause, let the hogs kind of calm down and stop. But if I do that and post a video on YouTube, I get comments like, keep shooting full.
Oh yeah. If you, so here's the deal. This is no joke. If you saw my video, anybody, even me watching it last night, I'm like, what a moron. Why were you not shooting? They're 40 yards away and it's chump shots. But I dropped the first pig and they took off, and I wait. And I could have killed this hog, but I waited until he stopped, and boom, I dropped him too. I just kept doing it, and I'm telling you, it works. But anyway, it was, it's tough. It's trigger control. But what I was going to say is, I will say one thing about the XG50. I know people are probably tired of hearing us talking about this scope. We did the full review last week on episode 123, and I'm not used to shooting with something that's in that 3 power. Since we got this, that's the first time I've really done a lot of shooting. Granted, we've used a lot of the 4 powers and even some of the XM50s that are 5.5, but we intentionally back up with those scopes because we're used to getting closer to hogs. But I got up at my normal closeness, and it was more magnification than I needed. But where that thing shined was those last couple shots where that hog stopped over there at 200 yards, and I'm still on 3 power, no picture in picture, no nothing. Yeah. And I made the shot, and let me just tell you something. When he dropped, he and I were equally surprised at what happened. I mean, I can just tell you, when I put that thing on there and I squeezed off on that grindle, and it just was like this instantaneous bloop. He just fell over, and right then I thought, boy, he doesn't know what hit him, and neither do I, because I did not expect that. But that's that little extra magnification came in handy there. So anyway, but it was fun.
You and him were both surprised.
We were equally surprised. Trust me.
Equally surprised.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for joining us again this week. So we have another review for you. This is the Sightmark Wraith 4K Max. Again, this has been. It seems like we do this every week, but every scope or optic we've been reviewing lately, there's just been so much demand for information. This is one of the most. I mean, the XG was a surprise. Nobody knew the Thermion XG was coming out, so it was a surprise. They've been, and I say they, Sightmark, the information's been out for a long time. There's been some confusion as far as arrival dates on these optics, and we've got some information, hopefully some information as accurate as it can be at this moment, which this video is being recorded on middle of September in 2020. So this could all change. Sure. You never know. So we're gonna roll right through this. Again, this is the Sightmark Wraith 4K Max, and as usual, Jason's going to go through the specs. I'm going to talk a little bit about the functionality of the scope. We're going to talk about some things you need to be aware of when it comes to menu and setup. Obviously, we're going to talk about ID ranges. We're also going to be talking about IR lights, the stock light versus some other IR lights that we're using. And, of course, we're going to round it out with our likes and dislikes and who this optic is good for. So, Jason, I know that we hunted down all the specs that we could get. And I know that you're ready to read those off right now.
I am, but as always, I'm not going to get to that. I want to bring up a couple more quick things. So I know every time
you're going way off.
No, I'm not. I do want to. Hans mentioned here about availability and what have you, and he mentioned something super important. It is the middle of September of 2020. You could be watching this in September of 2021 or 2022. But we want to bring this up now because this is important. This optic we have had now for almost 2 months, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, somewhere in there, close to 2 months. Yep. This unit is not yet on the market. We have one of only a few that have been released. This is not a demo unit. I own the unit. It's a final production unit that Sightmark sold to us to let us test and get some usage out of, and hopefully better educate our customers and let people know, what this optic is about. So that's what we want to do. Now, I'm going to say this. Number one, it was announced in SHOT Show, January 2020 of this year. Was supposed to be out in March, and in January, no one had any clue what 2020 was going to bring. Yeah, exactly. All the dumpster fire of a year that it's been in more ways than one. But so this thing got held up in the coronavirus delays and shutdowns, and wisely, Sightmark finally just said, listen, we're delaying this thing till the fall. We know there's no need to just keep saying another 30 days, 60 days. We don't know. Let's just wait till the fall. So that's what they've done. And there's going to be a monthly shipment each month of the rest of this year. They're going to be very small. And so without getting into too many details in inside baseball, that's not going to matter in 3 or 4 months from now. I just want to say this. The availability in fall of 2020 is going to be extremely limited, and do not expect to get your hands on one of these until I would say Thanksgiving or Christmas, if all goes well, and maybe later than that, depending on how many are coming in. And it is going to be extremely limited. So I'm just giving you the warning right now. Be prepared to wait. Hopefully, after December, January, these things will be readily available, and you can ignore this whole part that I just talked about because it will be old news then.
I can't think of a better Christmas gift to buy yourself, though.
I agree.
Something like this. Just go ahead and pre-order it.
Pre-order it and forget about it. Yeah.
Forget about it. It's like getting a suppressor stamp. Just
forget about this thing. And if you call me in 2 weeks from now and say, am I going to be able to get this thing in 3 or 4 weeks? The answer is absolutely less than a 0% chance. I can't help you, but hopefully we can get you one by Christmas or New Year's. So we'll see how it goes. But we do want to go ahead and get this info out here because even though this unit's not on the market yet, it will be in the coming weeks. And we want you to be able to make your decision now and possibly pre-order one if you want. We do have these available at outdoorlegacygear.com, or you can call us 877-350-1818. But we do have the $100 deposit pre-order on these right now. So go check that out after this review if you decide that you think you want one. Now, it is the Sightmark Wraith 4K Max. And we're adding the name Max to this. This is something that originally Sightmark didn't have it on there. They have put it. They've called it the 4K Max. And we don't know what that means. We don't know if that means there's, it was always part of the name. If they've added it, why? We're not sure, but we know this. We're going to talk about it as the 4K Max because we don't want there to be any confusion if 5 years down the road there's a new model. 4K is the resolution of the optics, so there could be some, more models, who knows, down the road. This unit is $799 US. It is a 4K resolution, which means it is 4,000 by 3,000 pixels. It is a day and night optic. It is full color HD 4K during the day, and it is a full 4K at night. All right, black and white only. So again, black and white at night, full color during the day. We will talk about some of the daytime and nighttime capabilities later in this review. It's got a 3-power base magnification, which is nice. It's lower than the Wraith HD original model. Now there's a 2-power in that, not trying to get confused, but I like this 3-power. It's a nice place to be, a little bit wider field of view. It does have up to a 24-power digital zoom, and because of this high resolution, the digital zoom is really good. It's got a 50mm objective. It is a focusable objective lens. It has multiple color reticle options, so you can change the colors of the reticles, the crosshairs, however you like them. It has video and, drumroll please, audio recording. That was something that in the HD units, a lot of people were upset about. They really wanted audio. There is a microphone with really good audio recording in this unit. It weighs 34.6 ounces. It has an internal, non-removable, rechargeable battery pack. So it is a battery that is built in. You and I cannot get to it. It is serviceable only by Sightmark. It is, again, rechargeable as you expect. Plug it into the wall, USB. You can run it with a USB external battery pack. And we did a bench test where we, turn this thing on, charge it all the way up, turn it on, start a stopwatch, let it go. And we got 6 hours and 48 minutes out of the battery. The specs say it should get a little bit better than that. So we don't know if, this is just our unit or this is standard. But 6 hours and 48 minutes. Now I'm going to shoot you straight right here and say that is not recording video. That's not doing anything but just having the scope running in 4K resolution. So you might be able to extend that by lowering the resolution, and you're probably going to shorten it in the field by turning it off, turning it on, zooming, using the menus, recording. So I would say in 4K, 30 frames per second in the field. This is just a guesstimate based on Hans and I's use of it, but I would say 4 or 5 hours is a very, actually probably more than that, probably 5+ hours is a very reasonable runtime in the field in normal weather conditions. It's got a fixed Picatinny mount that comes on it, so it does not have a QD mount. However, it is the exact same QD mount that the former or other Wraith HDs use, and we do have those available at Outdoor Legacy. They run about $59, I believe. So if you want a quick detach mount, they are available as a separate purchase. It has 4 different rifle profiles, so you can set it up, and if you have the quick detach mount, you can move it from multiple rifles. If you do not have the quick detach mount, the multiple profiles don't do you a lot of good there. And it does come with an improved LED 850 nanometer infrared illuminator. And, Hans and I would say that's going to get you out there to that 225 yard mark, give or take. It is a better improved IR over the previous Wraiths that are on the market. It's a little bit bigger. I really do like this IR better than the Wraith HDs, and you would expect that for a little higher price point. So that is the overall specs of the unit. Again, $799.
Good job. All right. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
You did it.
I did it.
You got through it. That's a lot of information. So we're going to run through just taking a brief overview look at this night vision scope by Sightmark. Again, the 4K Wraith. Just want to lay out a little bit and kind of show you a little bit where the buttons are and a little bit about what they do. So obviously you've got your objective lens with the rubber cap on the end of it. You've got your, if you're listening on iTunes or Google Play, we're showing this on YouTube, so you might want to jump over there if you're interested in this optic. On the end, towards the objective lens, you've got your focus adjustment here, which is basically just a turn dial that goes around the end or towards the end of the objective lens. Obviously, you got your eyepiece diopter focus here, right here by your eyepiece. You've got your power button, which gets you into some different settings that you need to do, but mainly everything's done by this turn knob up here. So by pushing this knob, it gets you into the menu. But the great thing about this, and what I love about this change with this 4K Max unit, this is how you magnify or zoom up or down. You turn this wheel, and it is so much nicer than the Wraith HD, which is basically you push a button, on the top of the unit. But this is a turn dial. And you can set the increments of the magnification anywhere from as low as 0.1 power all the way up to, I think, 1 power. So, you can either move through those magnifications pretty quick or slower. I kind of like it on the 0.1 increment, though. It's kind of cool, but it's so much easier magnifying the image up there on the top, turning that wheel. Obviously, you've got your IR light mounted on the side right here, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. This one has the QD mount that Jason was talking about, the 2 throw lever QD mount. This is not the one that comes in the box, but this is the one that's available through Outdoor Legacy gear. And then you get your 2 rubber covers here. That one is for the USB-C plug. The other one is for, I don't think that's a USB-C. No, it's a USB, but not the C type. And then this is the little place right here where you put your mini SD card. So that goes in there. That's pretty much the overview of the scope. But let's get into, because I talked a little bit about the menu, and there's some things that need to be said, some very important things. So I think along with the quality of the image and what we're going to get into, I think if there's one takeaway, you need to figure out if this is something that you're going to be able to operate.
Yeah, I don't want to get into. I want to talk about this a little more in the likes and dislikes and kind of who it's good for. This is probably all going to kind of roll together a little bit. So I'm not going to dive off super deep. I will say, please listen to this whole review. Okay, this is going to be a very important review. There's some things, again, who it's good for, who it's not good for, we're going to talk about towards the end. I will go ahead and bring this up now. This menu system is fairly complicated. It is nothing that you can't figure out and learn if you want to. If you are, if you're scared of options and menus and changing settings and doing certain things, then this might not be the right optic for you. Again, we'll kind of get into some of that, but I will say that especially if you're used to some of the other night vision scopes, I would say that the functionality of this menu takes a little bit of toying with to understand kind of where you are in the menu. I don't know. Sometimes I felt like especially when I was first learning the unit, like I kind of didn't understand which setting I was on. I don't know. It's just
there's
little odd, I think.
I think kind of the way to sum it up, if you have to call your neighbor over to download apps on your cell phone, on your smartphone,
this is not for
that they call and say, man, I've got to get people to come over and download apps on my phone. This might be something that is going to be more, I guess, it's going to take a little bit more tech savvy than your average, Wraith HD. But what I will say is the settings can be learned, and usually the settings that you put on are going to stay. You're going to keep them there the whole time.
That's right.
So the great thing about buying this from Outdoor Legacy Gear is you can call us up. You buy it from us. We'll help you out. We'll get you set it up. We'll tell you what settings to put it on. And from there, you really don't have to mess it with it after that, once you know the basic steps.
Yeah,
and
I will say
but you're right. There is a learning curve in the beginning.
There's a learning curve, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, we can talk a little bit more, but I want to mention this now. We are going to be providing optimal settings for this scope for our users. So anyone who makes a purchase from us, we will provide the optimal settings that I'll be honest, took Hans and I a while to figure out. I mean, it took me several nights of playing and testing. You got to remember, guys, we got this thing, didn't even have a manual. You're figuring it out. And if you get stuck, let's be honest, most of us don't read the manual, but you get stumped and then you go to the manual. We didn't have a manual. We still don't have a manual. I mean, we're early adopters on this thing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to provide you with all the optimal settings that we have found through the trial and error in multiple different types of scenarios and settings. So if you buy from us, you're going to get that. Otherwise, you're going to be on your own. But so I want to, we're going to get into this a little more. Let's go though and talk about really, the ID range and what this thing looks like at night, because I know we've both used it a lot. You have been out, you've been killing some hogs with it. I know we've posted some clips and stuff on Facebook and Instagram. Really, really good image quality. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, man, I tell you, I have had it out quite a bit in the last, couple of weeks or so, maybe a little bit, maybe not 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half or so. But I'll get into my likes and dislikes because I've got a lot to say about that. But just sticking with ID ranges, really the ID range, like Jason said, 225 yards with the stock IR light. But we all know, man, these night vision scopes are only as good as the IR light that you're using, because there's plenty of power. There's plenty of power in this. There's plenty of power in the HDs, and they perform very well at night. I've been using you've heard us talk about them many times. This is the Sniper Hog Light. This is the 50 millimeter lens with the improved IR light in it. So it's the new IR light, the more powerful IR light that they put in there. And man, I feel weird saying ID ranges with stuff like this because sometimes it seems unbelievable. But stock IR 225 yards with this light, 600 to 800 yards with the light. If you're again with night vision, if you're new to night vision hunting, or if you've got a thermal and you've never hunted with a night vision scope and you're wanting to have a buddy scope or something that's a little bit less expensive than a thermal, that when I say 600 to 800 yards, that is going to be no obstructions in your line of sight. You're not in tall grass. I'm talking about cut fields, no trees, no bushes, and that works, and that's the same for all the night vision. If there's anything blocking that view, it's going to reflect that IR light and throw it back up on the screen. But conditions being good, I was looking out with this light, 400 yards very easily, we were IDing deer and stuff at 400 yards. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say 800 yards, but to be safe, I'll say 600 yards.
I'm going to say,
and that's in good conditions.
yeah, I'm going to say this: the stock IR, if you're familiar with any of the past units, the Wraith HD models, the Sightmark Photons, the ATNX sites, any of these other, I mean, even the Pulsar Digisites and Digex, if you're familiar with any of those, I would say that the IR illuminator that comes on the 4K Max is absolutely as good and better than most any of those. I mean, 225 yards is no problem with it. Very reasonable. But my personal opinion is if you're going to buy this unit and you're going to have this super highly capable, $800 night vision optic, you need to go ahead and budget another $175, $200 and buy a high-end Sniper Hog light. I mean, one of the best on the market. Put that money with it and buy it. And if you say, yeah, but I'm only going to be hunting places where I can't see but 250 yards, why do I need a better light? It's not just about distance. It's about brightening up your whole field of view all the way out, the brightness. And yeah, you can get it too bright. You don't need, if you're looking 50 yards, then no, don't go buy a Sniper Hawk light, but if you're going to be really using this thing in normal hunting conditions where you're looking 200-300 yards, even at the least, you need to budget the money to buy one of these. And right now, the Sniper Hog lights, and we're going to get into some more reviews of those. We've talked about them before. There's the 38, the 50, the 66 LRX, and the Coyote Cannon. All those lights work really, really good with this. But with the new brighter LEDs that we have, I mean, that they're selling with these, we've got them in every Sniper Hog light we sell now. You can take a 50 and easily do what those 66s were doing before.
And that's what I did. I typically used the 66 LRX, and now I'm using the 50, step down, but I stepped up in the LED insert bulb that goes into it.
Yep.
And, man, it's been doing great. But let's get into the likes, because I've been, me, I've been super excited about this, talking about this.
Hans has been overly, shockingly excited to me about this scope.
2 weeks ago, I was hunting with the Pulsar Thermion XG50, brand new scope on the market, 640 resolution, 12 micron. And then Jason says, all right, we need to put that down and we got to start hunting with the Wraith 4K Max. And, if you hunt with thermal, hunting with night vision adds I don't want to say is not as exciting.
It's very different. And
it's very different.
It's sometimes hard to go back to.
It's a tough switch.
Yeah.
It is a tough switch. Man, I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to say I wasn't super excited to test this scope. So I'm fortunate and excited to test anything. But getting this scope, I've used the Wraith HD for a long time. I've got one mounted on a rifle right behind me. Getting this 4K, I was kind of thinking, well, how much better can it be? And I'm going to tell you, during the day, it is unbelievably better than the HD during the day. The picture image, I had both of them lined up. The 4K image is so much crisper. It's smoother whenever you're scanning back and forth. And, you got to understand, this is a 4K camera. So any type of 4K camera that you deal with, obviously they're great picture image. But they are, they've been known, or a typical 4K camera, a little bit more difficult to operate. But once you get the menu settings set up right where you need them, you're going to get a crystal clear picture image every time during the day. Again, it's unbelievable, heads and shoulders above the HD in daytime use. So what the plan is, we're going to be using, Jason, I know you're probably going to do it as well, but using the 4K for daytime hunts, whether it be hunting coyotes during the day, deer hunting. Guys now, they want to deer hunt, but they want to get it on video. Well, what better way to get a video of your deer hunt with a 4K camera?
This is the future.
Unbelievable.
Listen, guys, I am a traditionalist. When it comes to deer hunting, I'm a bolt action rifle. You know, it's just that's the way I grew up. I am the Leopold Zeiss scope. I mean, that's just the way I grew up hunting. But I will say this is going to be the future, and it may be with the younger generation than Hans and I. I mean, we're in our 40s now. I think a lot of guys our age, including us, are going to start dabbling in it. But I think everybody younger, when they see what this thing is capable of doing in the daytime, and like you said, recording the whole hunt in full color, beautiful 4K, for daytime, it just runs circles around the HD. And if anybody's used the HD model, and this is not a full comparison, we'll probably do that later, but there is a little bit of that lag when you move it around just a little bit, and it's not bad. And to be honest, I didn't really even notice it until I put it next to this. And the processor exactly right. is so much faster in this. It is very impressive. So, yeah, I think daytime, it's great. But that follows through all the way at night. And
it does. And just to get to finish up on that point with the daytime use, everything's moving to digital, technology these days, and as you said, the younger generation, but digital gives you, and a digital scope like this gives you a very enjoyable experience, and especially something like this, very easy to sight in. Zeroing the scope is not an issue at all. It's very similar to doing the Wraith HD, but if you haven't done it, very simple and easy to do. I've called you several times in the last week, man. It's just like, man, I love this. I love this scope. I love it. And you're right. Going to nighttime use performs very well at night. I was running with the Sniper Hog Light. Could see a long ways out there. The picture's crystal clear. I've got some video that I'll be sharing on my YouTube channel, Hans ETX, very soon. When I do my full review, be doing some hunts with it and showing some video. But again, at night, crystal clear picture image. I mean, you can zoom in tight on those, whatever you're hunting. That 3 power to 24 power. I think the 3 power was a great transition from the Wraith HD, which is that 4 power, stepping down a little bit to the 3 power, and again performed just as good at night as it did during the day. And I love the audio, the video and audio, that now you get sound with it, which is a great step up. And the video, the rechargeable battery power, I love that too. I mean, just being able to recharge it, go back out in the field. I leave it running the whole time I'm out. I don't turn it off. So if I'm calling coyotes, calling hogs, I leave it locked up in my Kofi Reaper grip tripod. Let it sit there, leave it on. I leave my IR light off until I see something, but I'll leave the scope running. And if I see something, I'll flip on that IR light pretty quick. But man, it's a great scope.
I want to just say one quick thing. You're going to confuse some people there. He's scanning with the thermal monocular. So when he says that, well, I'm just thinking about a guy's like, how do you see without the IR light on? You don't see without the IR light on at night. He's just saying that he's scanning with thermal, then he's flipping it on. So
see how spoiled we are.
That's right. Well, I'm trying to listen with fresh ears to make sure that
very important point. Yeah, if you're going to scan with it, definitely leave that IR light on. But
he's not.
It runs a long time. I mean, like I said, I kept it on for 2 or 3 hours at a time. I'd go look at it and it'd be a quarter drained out of the battery. I'm not saying that you're going to get that all the time, but. Lots to like and love about this scope.
There is a ton to like about it. I do want to get into some negatives, and we're going to run out of time here, so I want to get into some of these things. And some of them aren't even just negatives. Some of them are actually just kind of caveats. I don't know if I should call them negatives. It's like a warning. You need to know this. And I think that there's several things I can think of here, and I think this is going to roll into our who's it good for. We'll probably put a bow on that at the end, but these are my warnings for you. So number one, hang on. We didn't even get into all this because there's just not enough time in this review, but this unit is a 4K unit, but it has multiple resolutions you can run it at. So you can go into these settings and you can change it to 720 to 1080 to 1080, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 4K 30 frames, 4K 60 frames. There's a lot going on here.
And there's also messages that say, if you're running in 4K 60 frames per second on the video, you don't see the reticle. So there's a lot of, things that you got to know about that.
Right.
And that's why it's important to really, if you're buying it from a dealer, make sure that you get the information that you need to run it.
Exactly. So what I was going to say is, though, what we have found is this. We have tested every single one of these different resolutions. And to get the best image at night, and I mean by far, you've got to use the 4K settings. And the 4K 30 frames per second is the one that we've settled on, that we really like. You can use some of these 720 and 1080s. It's really, really dark. For nighttime use, it's almost unusable. So that, okay, you go, well, big deal. It's a 4K. I want the 4K. I want the high resolution. That's awesome. Now, here's what happens. So you go and record video. You're going to record at about, now Hans, tell me if I'm wrong on this, about a 0.5 gigabyte per minute on the recording. So if you record a 5-minute video, that is a 2.5 gigabyte file. Well, let me just tell you something. Your cell phone is not going to open that file. Your cell phone cannot run that file. So it's going to have to be transferred to your computer, which that's what this is made for. You got to put the SD card in your computer. If you don't have a pretty good computer, you open a 2.5 gigabyte file in your video recording or video editing software, your computer is going to come to a crashing halt. I mean, you're going to have some problems. And that's just a 5-minute video at 4K 30 frames per second. So, and that's not a fault of the scope. It's actually a benefit of the scope. I mean, they're not downsizing this video, because if they were, it wouldn't look that good. So they're giving you the output. You just need to understand this is the exact same thing. Hans has this high-end 4K video that he records some of his podcast and stuff with. It's the same thing. You get these giant file sizes. And so you just need to know this.
Yeah, it's the common thing with all 4K cameras. I've got a Sony 4K camera that I use for videoing, and you record a 12-minute video, and it's 6 gigabytes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just part of it. It's not a defect of the scope, but you got to understand, if you're going to start that video and leave it running for several minutes, you're going to have a big file for sure.
You're going to have a big file, and you got to have a computer that can open and edit that file. And if you say, well, that's fine, I'll just go in there and downsize it when I get on the computer, you can do that too. There's some software that'll do that. But what you're going to start doing is you're going to start losing the benefit of that 4K video file. So it's something to be aware of. If right now you have no idea what we're talking about and this is all over your head, then that's something to consider if you want to record video with this unit. And so that's one thing I wanted to bring up. I think the other thing is the dislikes. We've already kind of mentioned the menus. Here's the deal. This is a double-edged sword. There are a lot of settings in this unit. And if there wasn't, then you don't get all the options, the functionality. You don't get to do a lot of the cool things and make the changes. So it's a good thing that it's in here. But if those kind of things scare you, it's a bad thing, because you're going to get in that menu and go, I don't know what this is. And did I just turn this off or did I turn this on? And you could get very confused quickly if you're scared. I mean, if you can't turn on your TV with the remote control, got to
find the remote first.
Yeah, that's true. Then this is going to be a little complicated. Now, I'm not trying to scare you, If you're under 40 years old, this is probably nothing for you. It's probably no big deal.
If you want the best, 4K image night vision scope with the best picture on the market, and you're willing to have an open mind and take a little bit of time to learn this scope, and you want to make great videos and you want to have great documentation of your hunts, this is the scope for you. And if you want to turn a night vision scope on, have a very good image, but you really don't care about all the rest of it, then you might consider, the Sightmark Wraith HD. But like I said, if you're looking for the best image on the market, the 4K is, to me, an easy choice.
Yeah, and let me say too, I tell people this about thermal scopes and these night vision scopes all the time, and this is true of this one. Once you get the settings, and we're gonna, we can give you a list of what the settings you ought to put it on optimal. If you want to change it, that's totally up to you. But when you get it on those optimal settings, at that point, it's easy. It's turn the scope on, it's go hunting, it's zoom it in, it's turn it off. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to record video. You don't have to, you can go hunting with a super image day or night, and it's easy to operate. Okay, so that's not a big deal, but I don't want you to be so scared that like you're always going to be messing with these menus. You don't have to. Once you set it up, you can zero it, get the settings, and forget it. So I just want to give that warning.
You're exactly right. There's not a lot of, once you get it set, there's not a lot of messing with it after the fact.
No, not at all.
But again, we can walk you through the process whenever you purchase it from Outdoor Legacy. We'll give you all the settings. Yeah. And again, the continued support on this optic is something we're going to continue to do.
One more thing I want to mention, it is a dislike. This is a true dislike. Okay, so these other things are more like, hey, you just need to be aware of this. One of the dislikes is the location of the Picatinny rail is for the IR illuminator. I know Hans has picked that up and showed it there.
I do, and I've got the light mounted way back because I put it on here just for the video because I'm running the Sniper Hog light. This light is usually pushed up further, so the way I have it mounted right now, it looks like it's going to hit you right in the nose, in the other eye, the opposite eye, but it does scoot further up.
Yeah.
But you're going with a location.
Yeah, that location of that is a poor choice. They should have found a way to put it on the top.
Not my favorite.
It's not ideal. It's on the left side. It's way far back, and if you're using your left hand to adjust the focus, you've kind of got to reach up and over. One thing I do like they did, it was a change they made since January, was they added some little I don't know what you call it, but like kind of some fins up there on the focus ring, make it a little easier to grab and focus. That is a plus. This is my advice. Simply put, I would plan, if at all possible, to run your IR illuminator somewhere besides where they have it stock out of the box. Now, you can do it and it'll work. I've done it, but I would just plan on putting it somewhere else. And if you say, I got a bolt gun and I don't have anywhere else to put it, then run it right there. There you go, and it'll work.
I'm holding up a rifle right now. Jason Brooks from Sniper Hog Lights was on our show, and we talked about mounting these IR lights. He said, and I've heard from many others, and I've been running it this way too, the best place to run your IR light is directly underneath your barrel, as close to the end of the barrel that you can get. And for a couple reasons. First of all, it's out of your way, which is a great thing. It gives you greater, I think, your angle is better. Instead of angling this light towards, if it's on the side, you have to kind of angle it towards the front of your scope. This is straight in line with your scope. So I think the beam might be a little bit better. But more importantly, when you shoot, you don't get that smoke whiteout blowback as bad, and I've tried it. It does work. You don't get it as bad. If you can, I've seen people with bolt guns that have been able to mount it under their barrel. So it is possible.
It is possible.
But what I would do, if you're getting this scope, I would not put the IR light on the side of it, even with the HD. I would mount this thing under the barrel the best way that you could, and you'll have a better, you'll be more effective when you shoot, because you'll have better chances at follow-up shots without the bad whiteout or smoke blowback in the optic.
So I want to put a bow on this and say we've probably scared off some people right now, and that's not not our intention. We're trying to be honest with you, because I can guarantee you what a lot of dealers and a lot of end users, when they get this, they're going to say, it's the new, it's the greatest, it's the latest, it's $7.99, and everybody needs to go buy one. And so I've had a lot of guys call me because they know we've got it. Or they know we've been using it. And they say, look, I've got the HD, the Wraith HD. I love it. I'm happy. Do I need to upgrade to this? And my answer is it depends. I mean, there's no reason for you to, if you're perfectly happy, there's no reason to run out and go do this. If you feel like you have maxed out the capabilities of your HD and you're like, man, I've done all I can do with this scope. I want more. I want better image quality. I want to be able to zoom up and it be clear, or I want better video recording, or I want audio with the recording. I mean, if you want these features that this has, then absolutely jump on the upgrade. If you're the guy who says, well, man, I'm happy with my scope, it does all I need to do, then no, don't upgrade. Keep what you got, and you're going to do very well with it. And then I think we've made this perfectly clear. But if you are either, if you're, I hate to use the word scared, but if you're a little scared of technology and you don't want to have to get into any menu, if you think that the Wraith HD or the Photon or something like that is too complicated, then I would say, hey, you know what? You might steer a little clear of the 4K Max just because it may be more than you want to get into. Not trying to scare anybody on it. Again, once Hans and I got the settings figured out, we never went back. I mean, I haven't, I don't turn this scope on at night and go, well, let me go into the menu and play with stuff. I mean, it doesn't, that's not necessary. It's, let me turn it on and go find hogs or cows to shoot. And so Super Optic, if you're looking for the best possible image quality of a unit on the market today, I really think this is going to be it. It is a heck of an optic.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it. You've wrapped your bow around it. I'll do the same. This is now my favorite night vision scope, the Sightmark Wraith 4K Max, which is, before my favorite was the Wraith HD. This is now my new favorite. And again, we are taking pre-orders for this right now. You can get on outdoorlegacygear.com. You can also call Jason at 877-350-1818 to pre-order this scope. They're going to move very fast. There's been a lot of interest in them. A lot of people want them. And I know that there's going to be just a line forming for these. But there's much anticipation, but it's a great unit. Again, my favorite night vision scope now, the 4K. If you are trying to find Jason on all the social medias and all his hangout spots, you can find him on Facebook. You can find him on Instagram. You can find him on YouTube. All you got to do is search any of those platforms, Outdoor Legacy Gear. Hey, he hangs out on some of the forums, chats it up over there in some of those chat rooms. I don't know what goes on there. I don't ask any questions. But there's lots of chat rooms going on over there.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
He's talking about a bunch of scopes and answering a lot of boring questions about scopes, I can tell you that. But he's a good man for doing. He's out there. He is Johnny on the spot on all platforms with all the questions and answers and answering emails. And that's what sometimes keeps him away from getting to shoot those hogs, is he's got 35 emails to answer.
That's true.
If you're looking to find me, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. Just search Hans ETX. That's Hans ETX. You can find all of our past episodes on the latenightvision.show.com. Go through, you can search our whole library. We got all of it on there. If you are watching right now on YouTube, you want to listen on the go, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're listening on the audio-only version, you want to watch me and Jason do this on video, you can do it on YouTube. But thank you all for joining us again this week, and it's always a pleasure to do this.
I tell you what, that was a speedy, fast, got it all wrapped in. I don't think you missed a single thing.
Man, we were running way long.
So we are. Folks, we appreciate you coming and watching this review. We hope it was helpful. I believe that this is probably the most honest review you'll get of this scope. We love it. We just want to make sure that you love it too when you get it. We want to make sure it's one of the things that we like to do here at the Late Night Vision Show and Outdoor Legacy is to make sure that you get the scope that works best for you. We never want somebody to spend more money than they want to spend buying something. We never want somebody to spend their hard-earned dollars and be disappointed or confused or, buyer's remorse after they bought it. So we're here to help you get the right optic that will be the right tool for your needs. So keep coming back every week and you can see more reviews like this and more hunting talk, night vision, thermal, whatever it is. We're bringing it to you every week. And so, folks, we appreciate y'all watching the Late Night Vision Show. And until next time, stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.